With Odyssey, one of the major changes is the planet tech, or to simply put, the great big turd balls that look like shriveled up testicles, some of them even frozen in ice. With these changes, not only the textures are being added, but also the overall method which creates these big things is altered. As a matter of fact, a little while back I did make a video about how a little bit of too much overclocking for your GPU can cause some really cool anomalies to appear, due to basically wrong calculations on the height map. So feel free to check that video out as well. But today we are examining a little bit of the surface, and I'm happy to say that also the overclocking trick still works. Well, to a lesser degree, but it's not gone completely. Coming from alpha, most people notice the drastic decrease in randomly spawning rocks, which probably are withheld due to the current performance issues, which I'm gonna be looking into deeper in an upcoming video, so do subscribe to get notified. But regardless, now without those extra rocks on the surfaces, they really feel smooth and empty and quite barren. And more so, you tend to start notice the texture blockiness a lot. Basically put, unlike the old planets, which we can actually right now load up and compare, you can see that on the screen now, the new texture blending seems to be at an, well, embryonic state, which I have no doubt will be improved, but frankly, on this launch, for this full-priced product, frankly, planet surfaces feel like a downgrade. Especially since a lot of players have also noticed one other crucial part of the planets. There seem to be no canyons or tall mountains. And sure, planet surfaces still have a teenager face-worthy surface, but with a bit more detail up close. And yet, my inner explorer is bawling their eyes out to see the planets like Pomeche 2C to be replaced in Odyssey by, well, this. I mean, sure, there was not much to do on the planets as is, but the rare, unique procedural generation artifacts were the treasures for the whole community. So now in the next 6 months or so, when the console launch hits, the new version will be applied to Horizons 2, and I'll be sad to see all that go. But as for the atmospheric planets, well, they are a hit and a miss. Sure, I love filming on them as they are far more colorful and bright. Still, I can't shake the disappointment of a rather boring surface map. As a creator, the planets have improved visually on the first glance, but variety certainly has gone down, and the things to do on them are very far and few between, especially if you start to make comparisons to, well, at least one of their peers. Now, additionally, some people have noticed a rather weird color changes in a few places, like, for example, some things got really darker and others brighter, but what really popped out for me was, well, this. And it seems that even the non-landable planets have seemingly changed a bit, and Earth-like certainly are shining bright now. However, me thinks that should not look like that, so the coloring is certainly off. Overall, if I were to pick Horizons or Odyssey planets, well, I'd choose Horizons. Yes, the textures are low-res, but at least the surfaces have a potential to be a bit more lively. What with all the artifacts and whatnot else. It's kinda sad to see these new Odyssey planets to have a potential to be nicer, sure, but clearly they are in their infancy, and certainly would have benefited from a bit more care and development in good time.
Should have delayed the fucking Odyssey, goddammit!
It's funny that we're going back to the alphas versions of those planets where the rocks were spawning left and right. I felt that it was a bit too much, but the point is that they are planning to put this back in. However, right now we're not getting basically any rocks being spawned on the planets because, well, the performance is not great. And this is the easiest way to cut off and make a shortcut for a bit more performance boost. With planets, actually, I'm starting to see quite a bit more corner cutting than in other places, just to make room for that performance, so that we actually hit some 60 or so frame rate. And we go back to the whole topic of this should have been delayed, or is this really what we paid for? Is a release with corner cutting galore left and right something that should be accepted, that yeah, later it will be fixed or improved, or even the existing features return to norm. And this is before we start talking about actual bugs. But I guess on a bit more positive note, I did notice this already in alpha, but it's more clear right now on the real release, if you will, that SRVs have a bit more traction when driving over these planets, and you know, they sort of bump into these obstacles a lot less, or rather the SRV itself has a bit more power when it comes to going over these obstacles. And on top, ships don't feel like they are on stilts anymore, as they only raise above that SRV level when the SRV is being released, rather than constantly being on those stilts. So that's a nice little detail indeed. It's just too bad that anything positive that I may say is just simply overshadowed by the sheer incompetence of this launch. Anyways, actually, Obsidian also did a video on planets, and I'll link that down below, so do go and check out his take on it. He certainly has additional insights, but in the meantime, otherwise, well, let me know what you think, whether or not you would prefer the original Horizon planets or the improved Horizon planets, or maybe now, the reworked Odyssey ones. But that aside, if you enjoyed the video and want to support my work, well, do check out the Patreon down below. It's all greatly appreciated, as well as the other links. That's for now. Well, I guess a new hunt for something interesting begins, if there is any. Oh god, please tell me there is something interesting with the new planets. Let me know down below in the comments, actually.